Welcome to Manny's TV Talk, where we will talk about all of our favorite reality TV shows and news surrounding them. Grab a snack, a drink, and get comfortable because this starts now.
Telling a story about your mom. I also had like a similar situation, right? Uncle Nitin, he was an alcoholic.
Babe, it's apples and oranges with my story. I'm done. The check.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome in. So let's talk about this new Real Housewives of New York episode. This is episode 12, season 14. Okay, let's get started. So Jessel, who I consider one of the stars of this season along with Jenna, is the opening scene with her husband. They're like at a little coffee shop and they're just talking, catching up on some things that happened at the vacation. Jessel says, to be honest, I need a vacation from the vacation. She's still annoyed that Erin is calling her privileged, which Jessel has never said she was poor or tried to insinuate that in any way, but she also didn't not work for anything that she has. And she's also a little bit confused by Sai because she loves Sai, like she respects her, but she was also throwing jabs at her at the trip. But the good thing is that her and her husband are planning a date tonight for them to go and have a good time. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so then the next scene we have Brynn and Jenna, and they're at some bar. And they're there to flirt around with the girls. The funny part was that Brynn was pulling more girls than Jenna. But they were having a good time. And they actually ended up talking to some people. Jenna talked to this one girl. And, you know, they had Jenna outside of her comfort zone. Like, she was flirting, going up in the stage and dancing. So they had a good time. By the way, today's not a good day for Brynn. Let me just, break the fourth wall of this episode for a second. Because y'all, Brynn was evicted and she owns $7,000, which is not a surprise because we have yet to see where she lives. And that's what's going on with her. She shouldn't have broken up with Gideon. But anyway, the next scene is a double date. Sai, her husband, and Erin and her husband. And they're chatting. Sai talks about some game that they played back in the trip. And of course, they had to bring up Jessel's sex problems. And that she should be trying to spice things up. Then Erin says, well, what would you guys do if your wife wasn't giving it to you for over a year and a half? And Erin's husband, what's his name? Abe, says, I will go and do it with other women, which I was like, damn. Like, I'm sure he was playing around, but I mean, to say that. Then, you know how sometimes when people are joking, but then the truth slowly comes out? Well, that's what happens. Turns out that Erin and her husband have been talking for a little bit about being swingers, and if they will let each other do it with other people while they watch. What? I'm not even kidding. They were actually saying that, and I was like, what the hell is going on here? You know, for them to say that, but that's, I mean, if that's what they want to do, I mean, that's okay. It's just not my idea of marriage, but the conversation was crazy. But I did like the energy that the couples had. I actually feel like they could be friends, and I think that Sai's husband is her redeeming quality. Okay, so next up, Brynn goes to a very fancy, nice-looking library. It was pretty cool because she likes books, and in that library they have very, very old original copies of 18th, 19th century, so it's kind of special, which is kind of cool. I don't know if she can afford, you know what, let me stop. I mean, because some of the books are $7,000, which is what she owes, but let me not even go there. So then she gets a call from her brother, and it's a little bit sad because it's been a year since her grandma died. And what she's doing is that she's trying to plant a tree in Central Park and put a plaque to, commemorate her. And that was really sad because they really loved their grandmother who raised them. So that was that scene. Okay, so then the group gets together because Ubah organized a little yoga meditation thing. It's, good vibes only. Let's let the bad energy from Anguilla go. And everybody was there except Brynn because she got sick. They gather around and they share some intentions that they personally have for themselves, and then they shake it off, and then the ladies, making some noises, and then they lie down and continue the ritual with the healer. Some of them, like Ubah, were crying because you kind of go through a journey when you're laying down there, and seeing Ubah cry kind of broke my heart because I do feel like there's so much to her life that we don't know. But in their confessional, Erin and Sai, they're just making nasty comments about this. They are so insufferable. I can't stand their energy. And I would say they were being even a little insensitive, to be honest. And then after that, they eat. And Jessel talks about, getting ready to spice things up in the bedroom with her husband. And she also quickly invites Sai for lunch, if they can have later this week. So then the next scene is Sai taking her daughter on a little daughter date. And they talk about what the little girl is doing because she's a dancer, like she does ballet and stuff. And I mean, although Sai was kind of telling her kids, like, I had nothing growing up when I was a child, which, I mean, I was like, not the trauma dumping, but I do get why she would say that. I mean, that was her life. But I mean, you know what? Of course, any scene that a mom does with her children is going to be nice. Like it's like with Jessel when she does scenes with her children, like you forget how they are. So it was a very sweet scene. Okay, so next up, once again, Jessel and Pavit have a scene. So Jessel is showing him some specific gifts that she got when she went to the shop with Brynn. And, things to spice things up, or as she calls it, to use for dessert. I mean, it was a little awkward seeing Jessel try to be quote-unquote sexy, like when she was trying to, sit on his lap. Like, he did not seem into her, and I kind of felt bad. And that might just be how it comes across off camera, or maybe that's just how he is. But based on that scene, that man does not look like he's attracted to her. But what you can see is that they definitely do like each other, and she even tries on some lingerie, which it was actually a very snatched lingerie. It wasn't like the Christmas tree one. Then we see a scene with Ubah, and Ubah's having some me time, like getting in the tub, putting on some candles, some chocolate. She does FaceTime Brynn to see how she's doing, and they're just talking, and she tells her about the thing that she planned, which was very nice. Okay, then we get to the scene. The lunch that Jessel invited Sai to. Well, first, Jessel was late, which, I mean, come on, bro, don't be late to a lunch that you started. But Sai was very angry from the start, and she says, why did you have to pick, today? Why not the weekend? Today is Friday. It's a work day. But then Jessel tells her, oh, well, guess what? Last night, it was great. Me and Pavit finally did it. But Sai says she doesn't believe her, which is kind of weird. And then she says, Sai says to Jessel, you mentioned that he's going to Vietnam. Why is he going to Vietnam? And Jessel says, oh, he goes to get Miles or something like that, which Sai doesn't believe. And listen, I agree. Him going to Vietnam is a little suspicious. But okay, Jessel starts, saying this is why she wanted to invite Sai. So she says, listen, in Anguilla, it bothered me a little the way that you were berating me. It felt like you thought I was comparing myself to how you grew up, and I don't want you to think that's how I meant it. And if it came across as that, I definitely apologize. Sai says, well, to be honest with you, I really don't care. I was like, wow. And Jessel says, oh, I just didn't want you to be offended. And Sai says, well, I'm not offended. And you know what? You should have phoned me for this. And then she tells Jessel that she feels like Jessel is not owning up to her past. And Jessel says, yeah, I definitely want to be more open with you guys. But at this point, I'm even kind of scared to do it, based on how y'all will react. And Sai is saying, you just gotta own it, Jessel. Own it. And I was like, oh, hell no. Not Elisa Renna 2.0. That is what we do not need in any more of these Housewives shows. When she said that, I was like, But then Jessel says, well, one thing that really hit home with me was when you spoke about your mother. She says that her uncle, the one she was living with, was an alcoholic, and he passed away. And it's hard to talk about because that's, her mom's brother. She lived with him, and she felt that maybe she could have helped him. It's just a really sad situation. And Jessel says that's why she felt disrespected when she was talking about this on the trip, and they were just brushing her off. And she feels like they're coming at her like vultures, and she's actually crying as she's saying this. And Sai says, well, Jessel, that's why you should be more vulnerable. Our stories are completely different. So that's that. I have to go. She gets up and leaves. Wow. I was really triggered by this, you guys, because if I had opened my heart and told this person sitting in front of me that someone who I loved, who died because of alcoholism, and I have tears running down my face, and say, you know, it was really hard for me. And all they say is, you need to open up more? Bye. I would have jumped across that table, choked. I mean, what the hell? Sai is a horrible, nasty, sick woman for her to be behaving like this. And looks like next week things are going to get even worse because Sai is going to go with her nasty Machiavelli behind and tell Erin, well, guess what? Jessel's husband Pavit is going to Vietnam, and they're going to be kikiing about it, and then Sai is going to be so... We'll see it play out next week. I'm just saying because that's what they showed on the preview. But wow, that was horrible. You know, I really like watching these shows, and I really don't make anything of them. I think they're just for entertainment. But there's few times, and they're far in between, but there are some times where I do feel like things get so mean that I actually don't like seeing it. I remember that happening when they called Sutton the C word. I remember it happening when they went after Karen. Like, there's specific times where you can tell it's not even about drama. It's not even about, oh, like, let's, you know, cause some scenes for the show. No, it's like plain evilness, and it's just really heartbreaking to see Jessel be treated like that. I felt really bad, and you guys, before the show even started, I was like, oh, Sai, I'm gonna love her. She's Latina, she's Portuguese. I was mistaken. But anyway, you guys, let me know what were your thoughts about this episode, and specifically about Jessel and Sai. Whose side are you on? Let me know. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all next time. You have a great one. Bye.